One of the biggest questions I get training new salespeople in the roofing industry is what the hell does it mean on this insurance paperwork? How do I read insurance paperwork? I've got a homeowner asking me what these numbers mean, and I don't know what to do with it. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to break insurance paper down really quick, figure out how much money goes to what trade, and you can better communicate this to your customer so you can actually feel confident when you're talking to the customer that you're getting ready to do the roof for. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you what a standard insurance paperwork looks like. And basically, it's really it's really simple. The way they break it down. If you This is the traveler's one that you're looking at right now, and so when you break this down, a lot of times they will send out kind of a front page document explaining what all the key terms are. It's a good idea to go through this and start to read through all of these key terms and items so that you can understand what is actually going on with the insurance paperwork, get familiar with the terms, and feel a lot better about what you're, presenting to a customer. So this is your standard travelers one. They've got everything from labor minimums, depreciation, RCV, ACV, quantity, claim number, just a breakdown of all the key terms that you're going to see throughout the paperwork. So, what I typically do, you don't have to do this right off the bat, and just keep in mind that this is hard up front because it's something new, a new skill set that you're having to learn. But um, eventually, down the road, what you'll be able to do, when somebody hands you their paperwork and asks you to explain what's going on, you'll be able to kind of scan through it and pull out the very important pieces that you need to know in order to get the work started. And you'll feel a lot more confident about conversating about that. So, what I typically do is I'll go through, I'll ask them if I don't know what all this stuff means right now. Don't feel bad about saying I don't know or let me get back to you. Get the paperwork from the customer, go home that night, and what you do, you go through this paperwork and you start to break down all of the money involved in this line right here, the RCV, the replacement cost value. You start to add up all these numbers. You want to separate it into roofing, you want to separate it into gutters. You want to separate it into siding. You want to separate it into window wraps, fascia, windows, garage doors. You want to start to separate all of the different things. That way you can see how much of a chunk of money you have to work with for the roof or for the gutters. And that way you can go back and when you start to do estimating and start to pre-cap your job, which all that really means is figure out what your company margin is on the estimate, you can start to see if the insurance companies paid you enough money or paid the customer enough money to get the work done, or if we need to create a change order and go back and get some more money. Usually they'll leave money off for stuff like ice and water shield, drip edge, starter strip, all these different things like this. They will leave it off their original estimate. We'll talk about how to get those things approved later, but right now, what we want to do is we want to just take that original paperwork and break it down into trades. And what I do after that is I bring it over. I've made this fancy spreadsheet because I like to break things down to a point where it's so cut and dry that anybody can kind of understand it. I've got each trade listed over here on the left side. And what I'll do is every time I go through and add up all the roof money, I'll put it right here under approved RCV. And I do that for every single trade all the way down the line. And then I move over to the next line, which is right here, this depreciation number right here. I will add up these lines for each trade and I'll bring them back and I'll enter it in. Now, this template that I've created, I can share it with anybody. It's just a template that you can use over and over and over. Every time you make a new file, as you can see down here at the bottom, I started creating, I just copy the template and just as a new customer comes up, what I do is I create a new template and enter their data in. That way it's personalized for each different claim file. And as you start to enter the data in here, these other fields are going to populate and make it way easier for you to break these numbers down. So I'm going to go over to this one right here. This one I've already gotten written down. I'll tell you why I've highlighted these here in a minute, but I just went through and I have added up all the roofing, added up all the metal roofing, which is going to be separate. the gutters, the gutter guards, the garage doors, and then ice and water shield. A lot of times they'll have this crossed out on the estimate because their insurance company's not going to pay for it unless you actually do it. So they're willing to pay for it, but they don't pay for it up front because they need proof that you did it. So that's why this is a separate line item from the roof. So as I add all these things up, it's going to automatically start populating these numbers. And then I've got this little line right here. A lot of times when you have an insurance claim, if you're just a roof and gutter company, you don't want to mess around with things that are going to be a complete, I, I don't want to say waste of time, but things that you're going to spin your wheels on and not have a very good profit margin on. These things could be things such as window wraps, garage doors, interior work like stains on the ceiling, things like that. That's going to be hard for you to, if you don't have an in-house crew that's already set up to do those things, it's going to take you a lot more time and energy to go out and bid those projects and make a profit off of it so that it makes it worth it for you to actually do the work. So what we are doing is we're focusing on the roof and the gutters only. And that's why I've highlighted these numbers. These are the three numbers that we're going to do. So these are what they've approved so far. And what I've done is I've taken these other three numbers right here that are not highlighted, and I've put this under the work not doing. And so this number right here is usually what I communicate to the customer, the homeowner, that, hey, this is how much money you have to work with for the stuff that we're not doing. That way they can start to see how much money is there. If they decide they don't want to do the work, a lot of times people use, garage door money, window screens, gutter screens, these little items, they'll use that to kind of help fund their deductible because let's be honest, nobody is prepared to pay a deductible at the time a storm happens. It's always a big surprise and it's always a weird conversation. So this is kind of how I show people, hey, if you want your deductible to kind of go away, then you have to do that by not doing some of the work. So I've broken it down uh, basically to simple terms here. And then when we start to get up here, over here, these numbers will automatically transfer over too. And what this kind of emulates on this side is this emulates how the insurance company summary breaks down. So it's got the total overall for the entire amount of work that is damaged, how much money they're holding back, the total ACV, which is your RCV minus depreciation, that number, and then their policy deductible. This is always a very confusing point on the insurance paperwork because a lot of people seem to think that the insurance company has already taken that money out so they don't have to pay it, but it's completely not the case. All you have to do is communicate that the way a deductible works is that you pay the deductible first to the provider, which is me doing your roof, and the insurance company covers the rest of the amount. That's how a deductible works. And then to go on to the next one, here's what their first check should be. The first payment is an ACV minus deductible. And then if they missed anything on the estimate, we're going to do a change order, or sometimes people call it a supplement. This is what we'll be asking for on our invoice, possibly before our invoice. And then here's again the depreciation. It subtracts money out, breaks it down to the first check, and then it adds money back in to the final total claim of what we'll be invoicing for by the time we get done working. And so all these numbers kind of work themselves out as you start to go through and you add up. Here's your gutter money here. These two numbers, 42, 62, 56, transfer that over to the spreadsheet. You take the roofing numbers. A lot of times you can go down here to the summary, which is the totals on the dwelling roof, 17,105.20, and make sure you don't miss right here. This is a crossed out ice and water shield. That's not part of the roof total amount now, but this will be included underneath the ice and water. We'll put that number here, the part that's crossed out, because it's going to get added. We're going to do it. And then, yeah, so you just go through and you just add up all the totals. If there's two structures that have a roof on it, asphalt shingle roof, you just add both of those totals together. This roof here, actually, there's a partial one that has a metal roof on the side of it. We're actually not doing this part, so you just take that barn 2 total. That's going to go under metal roof, and you just want to. The goal is to try to communicate and depict this as easy and simple as possible for a homeowner because they are thrown into a situation that most people only go through once or twice in their lifetime. We, on the other hand, are doing this day in and day out. So we should be able to communicate how this works effectively, efficiently, and simplified to the homeowner who has never done this before. So that's why I always recommend when you get paperwork from a homeowner, insurance paperwork from an adjuster, from a homeowner, right off the bat, you need to be going through and breaking these numbers out because what we'll do later is we'll take a look at this. Okay, we've got from the work that we're doing, we've got a total amount of about 36,000 on just on this claim right here. So then what I do is I go into my CRM and I build an estimate and with all the parts and pieces of what it's going to take to actually do the job. And I'm going to punch this 36,116, which is approved. And if it's above my company margin, we're going to run and go get a contract signed and we're going to run it out because there's no need to if we are meeting our margin, there's no need to fight the insurance company for another 500 bucks or so. You're literally going to waste resources and spin your wheels fighting for a slow dime when you could just process two fast nickels, right off the bat. And so that's why I break these numbers down because I need to understand if this is buildable and if I can invoice for this immediately, or if there's some work that I need to do to go back to the insurance company. Let me know if you have any questions about this. This thing is, I can share this template with anybody. Let me know if you want a copy of it. You can either, put your email address in the comments below. You can say, I want the spreadsheet. Um, Send me a message. However you can get it to me, whatever platform you're seeing this video on, figure out how to get me a message and I'll get this template to you so that you can start using it and being more effective with your communication about how an insurance claim works.